world, Krista here with Books and Jams, and I am here to do my February wrap-up. I read 4 books in the month of February, and that is really great. I really enjoyed all 4 of them. However, it is much fewer books than what I have been reading in the past maybe 6 to 8 months. I was a little frustrated by that, but the reason is all of these. All the middle grade books. I was just so excited for middle grade March that I was finding it hard to motivate myself to continue reading the books that I had hoped to read during the month of February. But I did finish 4 books, and I would like to tell you about them now. 2 of the books I read dealt with writing and literature, and 2 of the books I read dealt with art. I'll talk first about the 2 books that dealt with literature. The first of them is Mr. Darcy Broke My Heart by Beth Patillo. This is an Austen-inspired novel. I really enjoyed this book. It was a very quick read and a lot of fun. It's about this woman named Claire Prescott, and her sister is unable to attend a Jane Austen seminar in England, in Oxford, England, that she had signed up for. So Claire offers to go and read her sister's paper in this seminar and kind of sit in her place. While in England, Claire is struggling with her relationship with her boyfriend Neil, who is a sports fanatic and very nice, but a little bit neglectful. While in England, talking about Austen and her novels, she's really evaluating her relationship with her boyfriend. At the same time, she meets this elderly woman in a park one day who invites her to come to tea at her house, and turns out this woman is part of a secret society that is protecting an original version of Pride and Prejudice. And for some reason, this woman decides to show it to Claire and asks Claire to kind of be the keeper and help her decide what to do with it. We get to read the original version of the manuscript. Is also part of this, so it's like a story within a story. There's also, of course, a dark, brooding Darcy character that's part of this seminar as well. Claire doesn't know who she can trust, who is trying to get their hands on this manuscript, who she should be dating. So it was a fun ride. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely not a 5-star read, but I think 4. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was a lot of fun. The second book that I read that deals with literature and also has a story within a story is The Winter Sea by Susanna Kearsley. This was the book that I chose for my Goodreads book club called BooksandJams Readalong. And I had a few people read this with me this month. I realized today that I forgot to go back and put my final thoughts at the end, so I will still do that. I really, really enjoy Susanna Kearsley's writing. I feel like she can capture me in her storytelling and really bring me along for the ride. Let me tell you what this is about first. In this story, we have an author named Carrie who is writing a novel about a Jacobite rebellion that happened in the early 1700s. Well, she was living in France, but she moves to Scotland to where this ruins of a castle, the Slains Castle, are, and she ends up renting a little cottage there so that she can write her story. While she's writing, she seems to almost get captivated by the characters, almost as if they kind of take over and write the story themselves, to the point where she remembers and knows things that happened in the early 1700s that she didn't learn from her research. There's this mystical, like, what's happening to her. She speaks with a doctor in the town to try to figure out why she is able to know these things. Is there such a thing as genetic memory? So that's a big part of it. There are 2 full novels in here. So we have Carrie and her story and also the novel that she's writing. Sometimes when there's a story within a story, I don't care so much about the bonus story, but in this one, I almost cared more about the novel Carrie was writing than about Carrie's story herself. And that kind of switched halfway through. So at the beginning, it was a lot of info dumping, just learning a lot of information about Scottish history at that time. Once the story Carrie was writing got underway, that became more interesting because not much was really happening with Carrie's life herself other than, oh my word, I can't believe I know this information, over and over and over. I did give this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. There was a situation towards the end of the novel Carrie was writing that was really frustrating, and the main character made choices that I would definitely not make. It was very interesting the way that Carrie's life paralleled the life of one of her characters. Little bit of a love triangle in both stories. For those of you who don't like love triangles, it didn't last very long, and so it wasn't a major part of it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. even though there were things about it that I didn't love, I was captivated by the story. I read through it super quickly. I am definitely gonna read the next one, I believe is called Firebird. The next book I read deals with some art and an artist, and that is The Painter's Daughter by Julie Klassen. I first heard of this book from Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand. This is a Christian fiction about this girl, Sophie, whose father is a painter. And she actually is a painter herself, but isn't confident in her own ability and doesn't really want other people to know how much of a painter she is. We also follow these two brothers, Wesley and Stephen. Now, Wesley and Sophie kind of have a whirlwind artist romance. Wesley is an artist and very impulsive, and they have relations, and Sophie gets pregnant. And then, without knowing that she's pregnant, Wesley has this opportunity to go and paint in Italy, and he takes it, leaving Sophie pregnant in a time where single women having babies is not really acceptable. And then Captain Stephen Overtree shows up, who's Wesley's brother, who always seems to be doing the right thing. He's very duty bound, and he always has to kind of clean up Wesley's messes. Stephen finds out Sophie is pregnant and that Wesley is the father, and he offers to marry her. So she has to decide, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna wait for Wesley and hope that he's gonna return for her? Is she gonna marry Stephen and be a part of his family, even though she's a little bit afraid of him and his really gruff exterior? There are some faith issues that come up as well, and their trust in God based on their circumstances is a little lacking, and as things progress, they kind of have come to Jesus moments. It was an enjoyable read. I think I also gave this one 4 stars. I think I was full of 4 stars this month. The final book that I read, I did a buddy read with Lucy from Book Acts and Maria from Read, Create, Repeat Homeschool. We still have to chat about the rest of it, but I did finish it during the month of February, and that is The Muse by Jessie Burton. This was my first experience with her and her writing. I had a bit of a problem at the beginning of this book. Not a problem, I shouldn't say that. I had a little bit of a hard time getting into Jessie's style of writing, getting into the story itself. So I did start this in print, and then I ended up listening to just a little bit on audio for like 2 or 3 days. I just listened to the next little bit on audio, and then I came back to the book. Once I was invested in the story, I had no problems whatsoever. So I don't know what it was about the beginning of this that didn't capture me right away. So there are 2 timelines that we follow in here, mid-1930s and then 1967. Mainly we follow this painting and the mystery surrounding this painting. I had a lot of fun trying to figure things out in this novel. And just when I thought I had nailed it down, I realized I was wrong. In the 1930s timeline, we learn a bit about the Spanish Civil War. There was a little bit of some rebellion and uprising going on in Spain. There's this family, this British family that has moved to Spain. The daughter Olive is a painter, and she didn't want her parents to know that she was a painter. And there's some deception and some love and some misunderstandings, and I really loved the way Jessie wrote about her characters. They had their flaws. They just felt like real people. There were a lot of things I wanted to know about some of the side characters, and I wished that were fleshed out a little bit more. I had to kind of guess what was going on a lot of the time, which I think added to the mystery of it. I don't think I gave you a very clear picture of what it's about, but I think that's okay. But I will say that I really loved Jessie's writing. I feel like it was very intelligent and very creative. She has a way with words that was really, really fun to read. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I do look forward to reading The Miniaturist. I know that some people like this one better, some people like The Miniaturist better. I will have to see where I fall on that. So that's it for February. Not a huge month for me, but I'm really okay with that. I would love to chat with you down in the comments if you have read any of these or from any of these authors, or what you think about them, or if you're interested in reading them. Be sure to chat with me down in the comments below, and also let me know what was your favorite read in the month of February. I love to hear that as well. I always look for good recommendations from you guys. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will be sure to talk to you in another video soon. Bye!